Which statement or statements is or are correct for gas chromatography? 1. The components in a mixture can be identified from their retention time. 2. The relative peak areas give the proportions of components in a mixture. 3. Calibration curves are used to confirm the concentrations of components in a mixture. A. 1, 2 and 3. B. Only 1 and 2. C. Only 2 and 3. Or D. Only 1. So we're looking for which statements are correct. So if we start by looking at 1, the components in a mixture can be identified from their retention time. So this is true, and it's a similar principle to when you use thin layer chromatography and you work out their retention factor by working out how far the solvents travelled and how far the mixtures travelled. It's a similar thing with retention time. It's just in a gas chromatogram, retention time is how long the components are staying in the stationary phase versus the mobile phase, and that gives you their retention time. But it works on a similar principle, and it can give you the components. You can be able to identify them from the retention time. Then if we look at relative peak areas give the proportions of components in a mixture, this is also correct. So it might not be very clear when you get a gas chromatogram, because if you've got different peaks, then you might think that the highest peak is going to have the biggest area. That's not always the case, and working out these areas and integrating the peaks to get an area is how you work out the proportions of the components. It's often used in the drinks industry to work out how much alcohol is in different things, for example. Then if you look at calibration curves are used to confirm the concentrations of components in a mixture. This is also true. And for example, you could plot the peak area against the percentage of ethanol if you wanted to work out how much the concentration was in this alcoholic beverage that you're testing, maybe in a manufacturing industry. So all three statements are correct, and so that's going to be A. To get the mark for this question, you need to write A in the answer box provided.